Okay, once again, very important. I have the table back square to the blade. Set it back to 90 degrees. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of the top out. I've gone ahead and removed the inlay just to get it out of the way so we don't break it. And I'll go ahead and cut this top out. Okay, there's the top cut out. Again, we can discard the top piece because we're not going to use that. That was just our inlay material, so we can get rid of that. There's the top of our box, and once we get that inlay glued up in there, it should look real nice. Now, the next piece I'm going to go to is I'm going to cut the interior and the exterior of the walls out. And again, you want to cut this. What's going to happen is the smaller inside of the box is going to fit inside of this one. They're going to slide together when the box is finished. So you want to be fairly accurate with this. When you get done, you want this to fit in here pretty well. Now you're going to have to do some finish sanding on it to get it to fit. But if you drastically undercut this inside the wing and you drastically overcut this, you're never going to be able to get a good snug fit. So try to stay relatively accurate on these cuts. Okay, I've got the exterior and the interior walls of the bowl cut. Now hopefully we'll have a fairly tight fit right here. Let's see how we've done. And this inside should go in there pretty snugly, just like that. And then when we get over, we'll do a little finish sanding. The bottom of the bowl, of course, will be glued to the inside piece, like this. Okay, and you'll have this rim down here, and that rim is what the top will slide down onto, and then of course our top with the inlay will be glued to the top of the box. And I'll take you back over to the assembly table and I'll show you that process. Over here at the assembly table, and the first thing we're going to do is glue up the inlay into the top. So get your inlay piece ready and lay it down to where it'll slide back in from the top. We're just going to take just a very small amount of glue around the outside edge of the inlay piece. And you can probably just use your finger to put this on here. You don't want a whole lot of squeeze out. You can, you know, obviously you can sand it off, but you don't need a whole lot of glue to hold this inlay piece in anyway. So just put some glue around the edges of your inlay. Okay, I think that'll be good enough. Now what we'll do is go ahead and lay the inlay down into the top. And we got a little bit of squeeze out there, but not too bad. Okay, now what we're going to do, and I'm going to move the camera and zoom in just as close as I can here because I want you to see this. Okay, over here, this little pile of brown stuff you see here are the shavings that I picked up off the top of the scroll saw from where I was cutting the walnut. Now what I'm going to do, and to fill in this entry hole that we drilled to cut the inlay out, I'm going to mix just a small amount of glue with some of this walnut. And we'll stir it around a little bit, and we're going to just make a little walnut putty out of glue and the sawdust there. And you want to get it, you know, quite a bit of the shavings in there. Stir it up pretty good. And then once you get it about to the consistency that you want, then you can go ahead and fill in that entry hole with some of this glue and walnut powder. And it'll almost, once you sand that down real good, it will pretty well hide that entry hole. So go ahead and get quite a bit of it in there. And then use your finger to wipe it off. And now when we sand that down, that entry hole is basically going to disappear. So that's the way to make the inlay look a little better. Okay, now we'll go ahead and glue up the sides of the bowl, or the box. Next step is I'm going to take the outside wall of the box, the larger circle that we cut out, and I'm going to glue the top to that. So it'll look just like that when we get it glued up. So I'm going to go ahead and apply just a fairly fine bead of glue around the top of the box. And we'll go ahead and put that top on there, and we'll set that aside and let it dry. Wipe off a little bit of the squeeze out here. Now I did go ahead before I came over here, and I did do some finish sanding on the inside of this ring just to make it a little smoother. So you may want to do that before you start gluing it up. But get that squared up pretty good, and put something heavy on it, and let it set aside to dry. Now the next step we need to do is we need to go over to the sander. In this case I'm going to use a drum sander, and you could attach a drum sander to your drill press if you don't have a stationary drum sander like I do. And what we're going to do is we're going to sand the outside of this inner bowl or ring until it fits up inside this very smoothly. So that's the next step, and once I get that done I'll come back. Okay, I've finished over at my drum sander now to where I get a pretty easy fit into to the inside walls of the bowl or box going to the outside. I keep calling this a bowl, can't help doing that. The inside walls of the box go into the outside walls fairly smoothly. So the next step then is to take the bottom and center the inside walls on the bottom of that box and glue that down, and then that should make it all fit together really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little glue on the bottom of this ring. Now this is fairly important that you center this up pretty good, because we want the outside walls to fit around this top and line up with this bottom piece. So do a pretty good job of centering up. Let all this set and dry for a little bit, and then when we put it together we'll take it back over to the drum sander, and with it all put together we'll sand the outside until everything is perfectly smooth, and then we'll add a little finish to it. I've let the glue dry on the top and bottom of the box, and I've taken an oscillating spindle or oscillating sander here, and I've sanded the top of the box down to 320. And basically you don't want to fill this inlay in there on the top. You want to be able to run your fingers across it and it feel just like it's part of the wood. And also, you probably won't be able to see this on the video, but where we mix the glue and the sawdust, if you can see, the entry hole has basically disappeared. So there's our inlay in the top of the box. Now what we'll do to finish off the sanding is go ahead and put the top and bottom of the box together, and now we'll take it over to the sander and we'll sand the exterior of the box until everything lines up perfectly and nice and flush, and then we can put a little finish on it. We'll also want to sand round over the edges just a little bit on the top and the bottom so you don't have that real hard cut right there. So let's go over to the sander and we'll see if we can smooth this up a little bit. I've finished sanding the piece. I've got the top nice and smooth. I've got the corners all rounded off and feeling pretty good. Now I'm going to give it a dip in a little lemon oil, and you've seen me probably do this before if you've followed my side any at all. So I'm just going to give it a nice little dip, top and bottom, inside and out, and we'll let this set and dry now for quite a while. Oops, didn't quite get it very good there. And we'll rub some of this excess off. Give this some time to dry, and I think you'll see that we have really an attractive little round box there. And I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes, and then I'll zoom in and give you one good final look at it. Okay, here's our finished inlay box with the nice little dolphin inlay. After this has time to dry real good overnight, I'll come back and spray it down with some spray lacquer and give it a little shine. And I hope you like this project. It's really not very difficult to make, and it'll turn out a nice little gift for you. Okay, thanks for stopping by the Scroll Saw Workshop, and we'll see you in the next video.